Hey everyone, I'm Eckert, and I've got some thoughts to share about the Trails in the Sky First Chapter remake. This is going to be about my experience with the first 10-ish hours of the remake, and I won't go into story spoilers, at least not from what's already out in trailers, promotional material, and demo. A bit of background about my experience with this series. The Legend of Heroes Souls in the Sky was my introduction to this franchise. I played it back in the day on PSP, and I've been a fan of the Trail series ever since. So I've been looking forward to this remake since I got notice that this was announced. I'm not trying to make this a direct comparison video because the original and this remake really feel like two different experiences. They look different, they play differently, and each has its own strengths. That said, it is impossible not to notice how different this remake is. And I mean that in a good way. I still have a lot of love and nostalgia for the original, but I also appreciate the work that went into bringing this classic to a modern audience. From the visuals to the way the scenes play out, everything feels more fluid and animated. Though, what can I say about the rise of remakes and ports that we have been getting in the past few years is that overall, I enjoy ports if the game is not readily available in current hardware, like the Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters, and at the same time, I like something like the Final Fantasy VII remake, but that's because the original, it's already available, it's already been ported multiple times, again and again, and the remake is a new take on the game, so it's not erasing the original. I would say the Sky kind of falls into that same category in a way because the gameplay changes in animation, but I don't want to go too much into detail about that. I feel like that could be its own videos and nuances of remakes and remasters and ports in this era of gaming. Now, for the story and premise of this game, if you're not familiar with the series, Trails in the Sky is about Estelle and Joshua, our main characters becoming bracers, who are basically peacekeepers that handles anything from deliveries to monster extermination, and sometimes even bigger political situations. As long as civilians are affected, they have the authority to step in. The game opens with Stell greeting her dad, who comes home carrying an injured boy in his arms. They let him recover, and when Stell asks him, hey, who this kid even is, like who is this kid? Her dad basically says, oh, that's your new brother. And yeah, no more questions asked about it, he's welcome into the family. Then the story jumps forward several years. The Bright family is living peacefully, and Estelle and Joshua are starting their journey to become bracers. Their dad, Cassius, by the way, it's a well-known bracer, and being a bracer is something that a lot of young children in this world aspire to be. So Estelle and Joshua are no different, and we accompany them as they learn the ropes, while things slowly become more complicated in the background. They do a great job at introducing the world within the first couple of hours and getting to know not just the main characters but also the community, making even the town feel like its own character. The voice acting so far has been really good, characters feel alive and the casting fits. My only minor complaint, and this is a Trail series thing, not just the remake, is an inconsistency in voice coverage. You might be reading a cutscene and then suddenly a new character shows up and that character has voice lines while everyone else doesn't. I do not mind reading, don't get me wrong, I play games with no voice acting just fine. It is more about immersion. When I am reading, I am in reading mode, and when somebody suddenly talks, it breaks that rhythm. It is not a deal breaker, but it stands out every time. Visually, I really like what they did with the art style. The animations, the expressions, and the camera work in the cutscenes feel very alive. It's a nice reinterpretation of what the original did, and it fits the tone of this remake so well. Now, for the gameplay, I'm playing this on PC, but using a controller. Combat feels great. You get two modes, an action style combat in the field and the traditional turn-based system. I use turn-based for most fights, but if the enemies are weak, I use action combat because it saves time. There is also a nice interaction between both systems. You can stagger enemies into action mode and then start the turn-based battle with a big advantage. The action side feels simple on purpose, and I think that is fine. If they push it any further, it will start to feel too close to Ys, and I don't think Trail should become Ys, Falcom's other darling. Turn-based combat is fun, and I like how positioning matters since you can move your character on their turn, helping gain bonuses in some attacks depending on the direction that you are facing against your enemy, or dodging enemy attacks as well. Battle animations feel snappy and fun to watch. Menuing outside of combat though is something that took me a bit to get used to, mainly because on the field you have an attack, a dodge, a special attack, and a turn-based combat start buttons, which meant that if I wanted to use some of the other features like checking my different objectives or the monster list, I had to hold the R button to open a second menu that allows me to use those features in the field and not battle. So I found myself at the beginning rolling randomly when I wanted to check how many objectives I have left. And unfortunately, those features like checking the objectives or monster book, etc., are not in the actual menu of the game. At least I haven't found it. So while I'm happy there are so many things you can do, it took me a while to properly menu things. Battle menu though, it's very simple. You got your basic attack, items, arts, which is basically the magic system, crafts, which are special skills unique to each character, and the defend button. So it's very intuitive, very easy to use, and again, I spoke about the animations and it looks great. The music is another strong point. They updated the soundtrack for this remake, but they also let you switch to the original if you want a nostalgia hit. And not only that, there's also a grain arranged version of the soundtrack, giving it a live version or orchestra feel. The battle music, especially, it's one of my favorites. You can listen to, I'll post something about all the three versions here so you can listen, the difference between them. Just listen to this. This is the original. This is the arrange. And this is the remake. And if you have played the original Trails in the Sky, yes, the Whereabouts of Life still hits. So yeah, so far I'm really happy with this remake. I have not finished the game yet, but right now it feels like one of the best ways for someone new to enter the Trail series. For returning fans, I don't see it as replacing the original. It feels like another way to experience the beginning of this story. If you have not tried it, there is a demo available, and if you still prefer the original, that version's still there. These are just first impressions. I might do a full review once I finish it. Let me know in the comments if you want that, or if there are other games you want me to talk about. Oh, and don't forget to, do the things like subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye!